Hi, I am j-fallon. Today I'm going to be talking about another issue with the culture of cover-ups. Today from New Zealand, the Jevon McSkimming timeline. Thanks for listening.
Got my eyes straight ahead, got my head in the game. With the red light on, I'm just waiting for the change. Keep my head down low.
Okay, so welcome back. Today we're tracing the timeline of Jevon McSkimming. He was once tipped to be New Zealand's top cop, but now he's disgraced and charged. But it's not just about one man's misconduct. It's about years of complaints which were ignored, investigations which were delayed, and a police culture that protected its own, covered it up. So I want to ask, when allegations against senior officers are dismissed as gossip, when complaints are buried, when victims are persecuted instead of being heard, is this justice or is this a culture of cover-up? The story with McSkimming, the story begins in 2016. Then Jevon McSkimming is a superintendent. He's begun a relationship with at that time, a 21-year-old woman who is referred to in a report as Ms. Z. They met through a sporting club. McSkimming was married, he was 40 years old, and he was in a position of authority. So by April 2016, McSkimming had been promoted to assistant commander. According to him, the relationship ended in 2017. Ms. Z said it was continuing well into 2018. So in May 2018, McSkimming disclosed the affair to his wife and supervisor. Around the same time, Ms. Z allegedly began sending emails. Later that year, an anonymous Facebook post named him, McSkimming, alleging manipulation and threats. The red flags were there, but New Zealand police did not act. So despite the Facebook post in 2018, despite whispers inside the force, McSkimming's career continued to climb. So October 2020, McSkimming was promoted to non-statutory deputy commissioner after being vetted. He gets vetted. In 2022, another senior officer dismissed concerns as office gossip. In 2023, reference checks raised integrity questions, but McSkimming remained in line for the top job. So complaints were resurfacing. They were surfacing and resurfacing, but instead of investigating, police promoted McSkimming. From December of 2023 into 2024, Ms. Z sent more than 300 emails to police, the IPCA, government ministers, even the police minister. She alleged McSkimming was a predator targeting young females. On April the 16th of 2024, she filed 3 formal 105 online reports detailing sexual misconduct. I've checked into it. These 105 reports, they're a report you can make in New Zealand that's something like, you don't need immediate, like it's not a triple O, there's an emergency going on. It's a report that you'll make, a formal report you'll make with police. It needs attention, obviously, but it's not an emergency for right now where you need police to come, lights and sirens right now. So she made these reports in April 26, 2024. And what did the police do? They labelled them false 105 reports. So instead of investigating McSkimming, they arrested Ms. Z under the Harmful Digital Communications Act. So think about that. The complainant was prosecuted, or they started pursuing prosecution, while the accused, a deputy commissioner, remained protected. So by mid 2024, cracks began to show. Integrity officers warned, this is a quote, "We do appear to have bypassed our usual complaint processes for quite some time." Wow. The IPCA pressed police why hadn't the matter been referred. Only after pressure from the Public Service Commission did New Zealand Police, finally launch Operation Jefferson in November of 2024. So for the first time, Miss Z was interviewed properly. First time. Her allegations were recorded, and in the process, investigators discovered McSkimming had used his police device to access objectionable images, including the truth was finally exposed, but it had taken nearly a decade of complaints, ignored and dismissed, to get there. On May 12, 2025, McSkimming resigned. He was charged under the Films, Videos and Publications Classification Act. By September 2025, the Crown withdrew charges against Ms. Z. The very complaints police had once labelled false were now acknowledged as being legitimate. So the IPCA's explosive report made clear this wasn't just Jevon McSkimming's misconduct. It was a systemic failure, a culture of cover-up that protected him, silenced victims, and bypassed accountability. Think about this. Scripture says in Proverbs 17:15, acquitting the guilty and condemning the innocent, the Lord detests them both. That's exactly what happened here. The guilty were shielded, the innocent are getting prosecuted, and justice ends up getting delayed for years, when all they had to do was look into these allegations. All they had to do was take things seriously from the start. But Jevon McSkimming, he was telling senior officers this is what happened, but he was just giving his own narrative. And at the very start, senior officers could have said, okay, we're going to have a look at this and just make sure there's nothing more to the story. But instead, they take McSkimming's word for it, his narrative, and everything he's saying must be true. There's nothing else to see. We'll just go along with his narrative, his version. So this isn't just, it's not just a scandal. It's a betrayal of trust, a betrayal of the badge, and a betrayal of the public. So here's the timeline. Complaints in 2018, ignored. Promotions in 2020, unchecked. Warnings in 2022, dismissed. Hundreds of emails in 2023 and 2024, labelled false. The victim prosecuted. Only in late 2024 did police finally act. That's not accountability. It's a culture of cover-up. And if we don't demand transparency in our culture, not just from police, but from government agencies, New Zealand, Australia, we should be demanding transparency. If we don't hold institutions to account, then justice will always be sacrificed for appearances. As I keep saying, the good doctor said to me, it's all about perception, Jay. It's all about perception. But this is what happens. We need to demand transparency and look beyond just the perception and hold institutions to account. Then justice, if we don't, justice will always be sacrificed for appearances. This is all my opinion. Please let me know what you think. I'm j-fallon. Thanks for listening.
Got my eyes straight ahead, got me head in the game with the red light on. I'm just waiting for the change. Got me